property management companies, we have influence on the market, we have influence on owners, and we have influence on tenants. And you either have positive influence or you have negative influence. I believe that some of when, and it starts with the leaders and the owners of these companies.
Yes.
And when that falls short, it trickles down all the way to the tenants.
We are the ones directly benefiting. It's us. Our business is us, the person. But when you go to an apartment association, we're working with the technicians of, the leasing agents of, the office admin staff. So they're all employees. So, they are incentivized to do well with the properties they're managing. But because they smiled and made one person's day, they don't get an extra dollar for that.
Welcome to another episode of Legacy Insider.
Welcome.
How's the week for you?
It's been good. I mean, it was state board meeting week, so I got together with a bunch of realtors from across the state, and we're in rural North Dakota, so some of these markets only have less than 100 things for sale in the entire area. We're talking 400 or 500 square miles. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm very happy to be where we are with the population density we have. How about yours?
Good. I was recently inducted onto the North Dakota Department of Apartment Association.
Yay!
So we've had a couple events. We have that event coming to Bismarck here in September.
Yep.
And we got Steve Rosenberg locked in.
Go Steve.
We had a Zoom call with him, and I forgot how mind blowing he actually is when he goes off on his deals. But I'm excited to get him in. I think he blew the minds of the people on the call. They weren't expecting that.
Yeah.
So yesterday they sent Daniela sent over his sizzle video.
Okay.
So that'll go out on a QR code with the invites and the date. So there'll be, and
I'm getting goosebumps for this.
it's a really good sizzle video. So
okay.
It's gonna. What I'm most excited about it, not that selfishly I get to hear Steve again, but I'm excited that the property management market, our market, gets to open their eyelids. I do think that we're a little behind.
Yes.
And it's not that we're any worse or better off. It's our everyday, right?
Yeah.
So it's what we're used to seeing. And
well, we just, when people come from other markets, it's like a whole new world. And even company to company, our most recent hire was used to a corporate, every step of the way. And then it's like, well, we do this. And, oh, you don't have this? Like, no, I've never even heard of what you just said. So,
and
it definitely matters.
Population too. I mean, going from 4 million down in Houston, where he's from, to 850 in the entire state.
Yeah, we're not even,
So, no, it'll be cool. I'm excited. It's a Survivor theme.
Oh, interesting.
So,
okay.
They were trying to do Gladiator, and then my idea was Margaritaville. So I think
where would he get an idea like that?
Not sure. Terramana on the track again today.
Yep.
Thank you, Dwayne.
So that
the Rock. Can you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Smells like this plant back here, agave. So it's a Survivor theme, you said.
Yeah. So they mashed the Gladiator and the Margaritaville together and came up with Survivor theme. So
well, I guess that tells us more about the relation to tequila than it does anything else. But
yeah. So we're still figuring out some games and stuff like that. But yeah, for the most part, it's been pretty cool. They're nice, excited to have me on. Some new blood, new energy.
Well,
I'm not short of ideas on things like that either.
And I'll be coming a knock in because of the things I'm involved in across the nation right now for some private property rights. It's a coalition, we're calling it, but really we're just trying to pull these organizations together who are affected by law changes that are happening up all over the country that are actually devastating the property management market. It's hurting property owners. It's losing tons of people millions of dollars. It's everywhere. I mean, it's hit in Minnesota. It hit in Kansas City, Missouri is one of the capitals of it. Hit Montana. It's coming out of New York and California, Seattle, Oregon. So it's a huge thing we're trying to get ahead of. So I'm very, very proud of you for hopping on that Bismarck Mandan Apartment Association, because they have an advocacy branch who will actually go to the state capitol and during a legislative year try to promote what's best for the industry. So thanks for being a part of that. I do that on the realtor side of things as well, because property management and real estate are hand in hand.
Yep.
So, but I'm off. That's just awesome. And anytime you can hear Steve Rosenberg, you should listen, because what's nice about him is we'll sit and talk, and he'll come back and say it in like 3 words and have as much impact as you and I trying in 400.
Yeah. So we're going to have him do more of the business side, property management, so systems, and he's actually going to be, I think he's doing 3 almost 2-hour sessions.
Wow.
So they're going to get like 6 hours out of him, out of just deep dive into systems. He was an airline pilot, so how you can systemize your business with that, and then just property management. So managing vendors, managing tenants, it's going to be quite the show for sure.
Well, who's going to sponsor the notebook for that amount of note taking?
Not sure.
Maybe I'll do that. Building realtor,
there you go.
Right on me. Yeah,
good idea.
No, it's true. I mean, the worst thing they could do. It's an interesting thing to go, because like when we go to a realtor convention, which is in Fargo this year, we are the operator. We are the ones directly benefiting. It's us. Our business is us, the person. But when you go to an apartment association, we're working with the technicians of the leasing agents of the office admin staff. So they're all employees. So, they are incentivized to do well with the properties they're managing. But because they smiled and made one person's day, they don't get an extra $1 for that, versus if a tenant has a great experience, they give a review or whatnot, like the owners benefit, the property manager or whoever owns the company is the one who gets like the $1 for the work, versus like a realtor, if I sell the house, I get the money. So trying to motivate employees to kind of understand and respect, but also see that there's a better way is a gift, I'll say.
And not only that, but switching that mind shift into this is an industry, this is a career. It's not just a job.
Yep.
Not that I think that they think that, but I just, even for me, like with striping, like when I would go to those big events and go see like, the ATSA, which is the Traffic Association of America. Okay. But you go to these events and you actually see that this is more than just a job. It's an industry and it's something you can be proud of. So, yeah.
I mean, if we could say that at the end of the day, we made our industry proud, we have accomplished our mission. Elevate and raise the bar. Because it is true. I mean, to many people, it is a job, but it's at the same time, it's, what you say matters. How you say it matters. We had an incident where a tenant's screaming at our property manager for something, and it's like, the human in us wants to reach out and strangle them through the phone and be like, it's not my fault. Like, I just do what the owners want. But at the same time, it's like, okay, yell away, get their frustration out. They'll calm down. Sometimes we give them that 24-hour cool down, whatever. But it's like, that's just with it. You just got to, okay, that sucked, but it just is what it is.
To me, it goes down to emotional maturity. And as humans, we want to have control of situations. It's just our instinct. And when we lose control, you feel a certain way, like you've lost control. But you have a decision to make on how you act on that.
Yep.
And I spoke to this gentleman on the phone, and I said, look, man, number one, why are you disrespecting a woman in the first place by raising your voice at them and yelling at them? And number two, regardless of gender, like, what's with the emotional immaturity, right? Like, you're choosing to act this way. You don't need to act this way. You're not seeking to understand. You're not seeking questions. You're immature at this point. And he was deeply apologetic for that. And hopefully he can be impacted by that conversation and make better choices in his future.
Grow up a little. Yeah. Well, it is different. I mean, I bought my first property in 2012, and I bought my first house from someone who was in his late 60s or early 70s, and he had the property for 56 years before I got it. So I have some stories, but just how he interacted with tenants and how everything's changed with technology, with the instant gratification flip. There's just a lot of things that are even different in my 14-year span of property management. So it is interesting because it's a lot more hand holding, a lot more babysitting, and it's not a fault. It's just kind of what's happened, when you can live through a screen. How do you open a screen door?
The property management companies, we have influence on the market, we have influence on owners, and we have influence on tenants. And you either have positive influence or you have negative influence. I believe that and it starts with the leaders and the owners of these companies.
Yes.
And when that falls short, it trickles down all the way to the tenants. And unfortunately, we've had quite a few tenants that have had that bad experience where they do come at us with their swords out and they're ready to fight and protect themselves because of the influence that they've had on property management companies.
Well, just a simple one is like when tenants are like, well, I'm probably not getting my security deposit back anyways. And it's like, why? Why wouldn't you? Like,
Right.
if you clean the oven, you clean the top of the fridge, you pull out the fridge, you
Rent condition, like how you moved in.
Yeah, if it's looks the same, smells the same, and here's 100% of your deposit back. And just that topic alone, how many people have been burned? And it's like deposits are not an income account. I think you said that a few episodes ago, and it's like, no, that is legally that tenant's money. So we as property managers, I hate when I have to charge because that means we have work to do. It's inefficient on the move out. It delays the next move in. That's not a win. When someone moves out and it's nice and clean, ready to go, smells fresh, it's like perfect. Like that nice little Lysol, or not Lysol, but Pine Sol, whatever smell. It's just, okay, this is a clean place. Let's go. Let's get it active. And but yeah, it's just things don't happen like that often. So
that goes back to expectation and onboarding, right? So you have the proper expectations and the systems to onboard these tenants properly so they know what a winning move out looks like.
Yep.
It's a winning formula for all three. It's a winning formula for us. It's a winning formula for the tenant and for the owner to have them proper systems in place.
Well, even just like the move and pack kit. So, hey, I'm renting from Legacy. Excuse me. I'm renting from Legacy. What do y'all get in that packet? It's like you'll have our contact information, but then there's also some of our vendors who can help tenants, like cleaners, stuff like that. But then there's the move out charge sheet that says, hey, this is what it charged down to the light bulb or whatnot. So please keep your unit running. If we come in and there's 3 dead light bulbs, come on, don't make us do this. We don't want to do it, but it's just walking them through that line by line so they understand, you punch a hole, there's going to be a charge for us to patch said hole, because it's not like we can just walk up and tap it and it's good. It's a multi-step thing. You have to come back. You have to sand it. I mean, it's work. So
I kind of steered us this direction for the topic. Kind of a longer intro, but nothing wrong with that.
No.
Today's episode, we did the previous episode we did on owner fees, the F word.
Yeah, the F word, fees.
So we want to do the tenant facing side of that today and dive down that rabbit hole with the tenants.
Yeah. Well, it all comes back to starting that expectation. The very first fee starts with an A. Application fees.
Application, yeah.
And why do we have to charge an application fee to tenants?
And it's not because we're just trying to take your money. That's not the reason.
Correct. There's a very, very real cost. And now with all the additional searches that go on, when I first started in this industry, myself, my own house, I just used North Dakota courts. That was how I checked. Okay, make sure they're okay. Sweet. And then when I started getting over 4 units, then I got a free, to me, app, and it would do background checks. So then I had to learn how that goes. But even then, I think back then it was $18 or $23 for an application. They're charged to look into it. And now with the technology we have, we used to just do background and criminal, and now it's rent history, it's credit report, it is it just expanded so much further. Drawing a blank at the moment on a couple, but my report was like a page and a half, and now it's pages of information we're getting. We have to scrub through a terrorist group like search. Like it's insane what we go through for just checking a background. But that's why there's a fee, because it costs money to have access to all the databases that would store all this stuff. And even then, some of that, like North Dakota courts, we have to check independent of the background check because it might not be up to date. So it's quite the process. And then, of course, we don't have a robot checking the application. So someone's got to go through it and make decisions because it's not black or white. One of the cool things about our company is we actually will work with people. So we're not, oh, you screwed up once? Never. Can't, nope, stay away. It's like, no, you screwed up 23 years ago? Like, cool. What was it? But having the discussion and opening it up, because like we all screwed up. We've all had issues. We all couldn't pay a bill at one point in our life. Maybe you have.
Life happens.
Yeah. So it's like we're reasonable. So we actually have a second fee that could come into play. So we have the application fee just to see and run your credit to make sure we're putting the right person in the right place.
What's the average cost of like sorry. What's the average cost of like an application software or platform to run it through that?
Like our costs or what people are charging?
Our cost.
Right now I think we're at $32 or $35.
Yep.
I've seen them cheaper, but I think the cheapest I've ever seen, and this is kind of for mom and pops only, it doesn't do the reporting, it was just a background, was like $18.99, but it doesn't give everything that we need to have. So no matter what, I mean, there's just no way of doing it for under basically $20. And really, to protect yourself as a company, you almost need that $30, $35 deal, because every city has different rules too. Every state has different rules. So making sure you're compliant to that state. But the nice thing is we're with a company called Appfolio, so they already have been in the state for a long time. They can stay compliant with all those little nuanced things when it comes to it, because like North Dakota just passed a law last session that said after 7 years, an eviction can be removed. Because some companies do have a black and white rule. If you've ever been evicted, you can't rent from us. We say if you've been evicted within the last 3 years, we might have an issue, but it's not a hard and fast rule. If you had an eviction 5 years ago and your credit's on point, your payment history's good, you're a good person, like, all right, sweet. That must have sucked, but here we are.
So that screening process, can you just determine on a certain individual, like what is good, what is bad per case? This is just kind of a little insight for maybe someone who's self-managing or something, like hint, hint, fair housing.
So no, actually, it is all standardized to a point. Like there are certain requirements that are absolute yes, absolute no's. But if I have two people, one has 4 kids and a dog, and one is just a single individual, and they both qualify, they both make, let's just say, $60,000 a year. They both pay rent on time. They all both have, $10,000 of credit card debt. I don't know, just making a number. And I'd say, oh,
all the stats are equal, right?
Yeah. This one will have less wear and tear on my property. I could get in huge trouble for that. Because logically, one person versus 5 and a dog. But you need to know why you picked who you picked, and it has to be consistent. So, like for us, one of the interesting things that we've done is our application processor isn't even in the city. So if someone says that we saw them and judge them based on ethnicity or family, it's like, this person doesn't even live here. So they didn't even know. Like all we test is the adults over 18 with a background check. That's all. So
and we have a standardized spreadsheet that basically plugs in the numbers, and we got a formula. So it's literally numbers. There's no emotion behind it.
Yep, that's exactly it. That's one of the ways we protect ourselves, but also keep it fair. Now, where this other fee is, we do have a risk mitigation fee. That's just unique to us. And other people might used it different ways, might have a different word for it, but all it really comes out to is, let's say you're good on many things, but they're like your credit score is too low. Well, probably when we look at your payment history, you've missed a couple of payments or behind or have something in collections. It's like, okay, well, it looks like you're 95% of the way there. We'll tack on a risk mitigation fee because up front, it looks like we might have to chase you down for some payments here or there. So we're in essence asking you to prepay the extra labor time my office is going to spend getting a payment from you. So it's kind of a weird way of thinking about it, but when we talked about owner management fees, that's just the bookkeeping, that's the recording, that's the collection and deposits. And then on the tenant side, we're saying, hey, your history tells us that you might not pay on time all the time, which means we'll have to call you. We're going to have to interact. So we're just going to ask you to prepay that time.
Staff time.
Staff time. Yeah. There's no free lunch in this one. So
yeah. And then let's say the rent is $800, but then I see you have it advertised for $836.95. Like what's the $36.95 for? Why do I have to pay that as a tenant?
That is one that a lot of tenants kind of bulk at because we're the only company in the state that offers this or really enforces it. But that $36.95 is something I'm super proud of, and that is a resident benefit package because we always talked about, what does a tenant get for renting? And because of this $36.95, we can intentionally improve our tenants' credit scores. Plus, they get a bunch of other stuff. But for me, that was cool because, as a realtor, I see what that actually does to your ability to buy a house. And, if your credit's a little lower, that half point or quarter point percentage over the course of a 30-year loan means you might pay $30,000 extra just because you had too high of a credit card bill. I mean, it's crazy, but that resident benefit package is so much because it's only positive. So if you do have a hiccup one month and you pay late, when we get other management companies, when I look at what they report, you paid at 12:01 on the 5th, and it was supposed to be in by the 4th. Ding, delinquent payment. And we can see that. I can see every single month for kind of as long as they report. So in that case, it's like, no, we're human. Things happen. We're not going to penalize your credit because you paid late. Now, sometimes people do pay really late. That's a whole different thing. And if they don't pay at all, that's a whole other thing. But it's only positive recording. They also get gift cards. They get pinata points, which is, we talked about another episode, so I'll hit and quit it. But there's just a host of benefits for them. So that is something
identity theft protection.
Yeah, $1 million identity
Personal.
theft protection. And then the big thing for our tenants that they don't think about is they get $10,000 of their personal property. And in there is something called loss of habitation. So we had a property that water came in the basement and they had to stay in a hotel for a couple nights. So the cool thing is the insurance policy actually covered the hotel cost while we dried out the carpet and then moved them back in when it was good to go. So that's a big one because it's North Dakota. Snow can cave in roofs. 80, 90 mile an hour winds can do a lot of stuff. And just knowing that, hey, a pipe burst because the tenant upstairs left the window open, like that's your TV protected. That's your bed. Beds are crazy expensive, but they matter. But now this insurance that we get guarantees that they're covered, or at least can be covered. Because of course they can bring their own, but.
And I think the last one in our onboarding section is what about all the Charlies and Poopies in the world that move in with you? All the little fluff balls.
There you go. As you can tell, he has pet names for his pets. But yeah, absolutely on the pet side. So we actually, this would be a great time to talk about the difference between a fee and a deposit. Because you've always had just in your head, what is the difference?
Deposit I should be able to get back, right?
There you
the
go.
fee is non-refundable. I don't get it back.
Yep. I've never heard it explained so clearly because you talk to 10 different companies, you get 10 different, well, it's a pet deposit, but I keep it. It's like, then how is that a deposit? Like, that's just a fee.
Fee. That's an F word.
Yeah, it's an F word. So for us, we're a combination of all the above. So we have a fee for the admin time. That's just because we will actually DNA test the dog and then we will have to send that in. Plus, we fill out additional forms because should your dog run away and the police say, "Hey, this address is under your management," like we need to be able to connect that. Or if something worse happens, and hey, do you know whose pet got hit on the road? Like we need to be able to find this. So there's that side of the fee, and then we take an extra pet deposit, and this only applies, excuse me, for pets, not assistance animals, not service animals, just pets. We hold an extra deposit because it's been proven that when you have a pet, there's typically more wear and tear. So, like,
there is more wear and tear. Trust me, I have a zoo at my house,
Sorry. Yeah.
and there is definitely more wear and tear.
Well, and let's be real. With a increase in allergies coming from a guy who's allergic to like everything, if we have a tenant with a cat and a furnace, when they move out, we've got to clean the ductwork. We got to clean the furnace. Like there are some real expenses that come when you rent with pets.
All the dander.
The dander, the hair, the pet stains. So the deposit is actually held for that additional wear and tear. It helps cover additional cleanup that happens. So we have the admin fee for our additional time because nothing's free. And then there's the pet deposit. And then there's pet rent. Because why? I don't think I've ever made money renting to someone with pets. Like it's not a profit center, but I want my tenants happy. So all my personal properties, I allow pets because I think half the families in the U.S. or more have pets.
Probably, yeah.
So like for me, it's not an issue, but there are some times when it's like a shared furnace in multiple units or our furnished rentals. It's like, yeah, I can't have a cat in here and then suck the air up and return it to the upstairs where they're allergic. So it gets interesting, but yeah, there's a pet rent because yet again, they're trying to prepay to offset the increased cost of cleanup after move out. So it might feel like a fee to you, the renter, but it's just because now with all the cleaning that has to be done, wiping down all the toe boards, kick boards, or whatever you want to call them, black lighting the room to make sure that there are no accidents. I mean, they will happen, but that's why we ask you to please. This is a fee at the end of move out. It's in our lease that we ask that all carpets be professionally cleaned because, I mean, I've spilled that red medicine, cough medicine, when I was sick in bed one time and I knocked it off and I spilled right in the middle of the room. It was like, great. Like that was stained. I mean, I would have had to replace that carpet if I was renting at that time. But I mean, accidents happen, so it doesn't need to be like perfect. But that's why we require that and move out. Like, you lived in here. We don't want the smells or anything else to come through for the next person.
Yeah, it needs to be rent condition for the next person.
Yep.
Just how you moved in, we want to try to preserve that so that the next person has that same experience.
Yeah. So pets are interesting, but we're not, we have our office admin fee. We have, in essence, prepayment fees. And then you can't get your security deposit back. We had tons of times we return the pet's deposit because the place is clean. We didn't even have to go through the furnace or whatnot. So that was an interesting one, but a lot of people do not like it because, why? It's just little Boopy. And it's like, yeah, well, guess what? Boopy takes poopies.
Throws up, all the other stuff.
Oh, yeah. They get sick too. Yeah. It's interesting topic. So what's next?
All right. Next is monthly charges. So obviously the first one is rent.
Yes.
Or the biggest one, I should say, out of
Let's
it,
hope
not
it's the biggest one.
Yeah. How does a property management, I hear, oh, you guys charge way too much for that. That's more than a mortgage payment. I hear all that. I hear all this stuff, but what goes in to actually determine what the rent is? And, I just want to look at it through kind of the owner and property management side and kind of give just a little education, tenant facing, so that it's not like the owner and the property management are just got money coming out of their pockets off of them.
I wish it worked like that, but no. So I'm going to tie this a lot like a car. If you really want something nice, well, what features do you want? Like there's some people who live in the gym, so they want a gym. There's some people who want to be really close to their kid's school so they can walk to school. So there's different
amenities.
Yep. So amenities are one part of it. Do you want auto locks, or do you want to sit there and save $50 and have a manual crank down? I mean, it's very much like that as far as, you know, the nicer the more amenities offered, typically the higher the price. Not always, but that's one of the trade-offs is what features do you want?
And what I've seen that from the maintenance side is like, having a garbage disposal in the unit. That's an amenity, but unfortunately, some people think that that's a food grinder, not a, not a. In case something goes down the drain, the things that I've unclogged out of a garbage disposal would blow your mind. I think just whole chickens, like the whole carcass
Gross.
down in there, like they were gonna grind all the bones up and stuff. It literally is just a loose piece of metal that just spins around and it just kind of knocks some stuff around. There's no like grinding teeth in it or nothing. Where I'm getting at though is that creates work orders, which creates maintenance, which creates prices.
Yep.
Another one that stands out to me is fridge water. Fridge water is a very awesome amenity to have. With the ice machine, you can go over there and fill your cup with water. But that also has its issues. Anything with water, obviously,
Filter
creates
gets full.
damage.
Yep.
Filters. I've pulled loaves of bread. People will put like bread inside there, and it goes in the auger, and the plastic gets stuck. So it just creates more maintenance. It creates more work. It creates more service orders for some of these amenities. Not all of them, and not all the time, but just to give an example of some of those added amenities.
Yeah. And so some of the bigger ones, like in a state where we could have 100 inches of snow or a hailstorm or 90-mile-an-hour winds, just because garages, parking is a huge amenity. Most of our locations, it's included. And some of ours, we have covered parking and that tenants can rent. So that's income for the owner. But obviously, they spent extra to provide a covered place. So usually, let's just take my duplex. They're the same square foot, both 2-bed, 1-bath. One has a garage, one doesn't. Guess what? One rents for more, faster, the one with the garage. So that kind of drives the market. So like that, and I do rent that other one for more because people are willing to pay more to have that amenity. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is price set by amenities, because like if you want a pool, sweet. Pools take a crap ton of work to maintain. And if you want to have that, they're spreading that cost out over however many units are in that facility. So we could go on for days about amenities, but that's one thing, is just saying if it has it, it usually gets more than if it doesn't. Central air is another one. So an apartment with central air versus a wall unit, central air is quieter, it's more efficient, you feel it right away rather than trying to blow it down a hallway to the back bedroom. So typically, if I have central air in a unit, I can get more rent, and people will gladly pay it to not have our 90-degree summer, 100% humidity, and you're just praying a cloud comes up somewhere.
Age of home too.
Yep, and that brings up 2 points on that, because we definitely have some units that have been completely redone, flooring, lights, quartz tops in a 1940s home. The thing is, the neighborhood's the same. So sometimes there's a trade-off. Like you can have a really nice unit and be in a really not nice location, and people from out of state wouldn't know any better. They're just looking for a place, and sweet. Luckily, we live in a very, very safe area. I mean, North Dakota, by and large, is quite safe. Mm-hmm. But that
some places you got a little wildlife at night, but a little wildlife that comes out, but
it's probably the moose. Yeah. But no, that's funny. But so location does affect it. I mean, they always say that in real estate: location, location, location. Because do you want your backyard to be on the interstate? Do you want it to? I actually had a call today where they parked, and there was a funeral going. And they did the military salute, and they fired off rounds.
The 7-shot salute.
Yeah, and they just, what the heck? It's like, don't worry. Like, you're safe. It's a funeral. But, I guess that's what happens when you live near a graveyard.
I think another one that affects it is something that literally affects the whole economy in the whole nation, is like the price of homes, mortgage, and stuff like that.
Actually, we should hit on that subject, because in my 14 years, kind of on both ends of that spectrum, for a hot minute there when interest rates were 2-3%, it was cheaper to buy the home than to rent it. I had a hell of a time filling one of my largest unit, 4-bed, 3-bath, single stall garage, parking for 4, off street. Couldn't get it filled. And that's so expensive, $1,600 or whatever it was, $1,400. That's way too much. And now it's like, if I listed that thing for $1,400, I'd probably have 10 people waiting in line. And this is all within 5-6 years. Not even. I take that back. All within 3 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think the housing market truly affects everything. Like
Yep.
literally everything. Even looking at from a remodel side, like when, the housing market was good, it was, a lot of work, and it's like election time, I think affects that. People
Everyone
don't know.
pauses. Yeah.
They don't know what's going to happen. So there's these where I'm going is there's economic factors that also come into play with that.
Yeah. So we've had, we had an oil boom. So while I had my second property, I was planning on renting it for $900, and I think I got $1,450 because the demand was so high. We had over 100,000 people trying to move to a state of 700. I think it was only 600 and something at that time. So no one could get housing. You couldn't build it fast enough. You couldn't get laborers up here fast enough. So, I mean, we had people sleeping at Walmart parking lots and whatnot. It was just crazy. So yeah, everything went up. Housing prices, like my house, I could not even get like an offer in fast enough at that time to purchase my first duplex. I actually found it off market, and if I described to you how nasty that place was, you'd be like, why? But beggars can't be choosers in that front. So yeah, the market conditions definitely matter because, to your point, when we had 1,000 houses on the market when I first started, it was, well, it's $50,000 to remodel your kitchen. You're like, well, there's 200 more houses that have nicer kitchens, so I'll go look at those. And they would just buy the house they wanted. Now, when we have low inventory and they're like, well, I'll have to pay double for the same priced house if I move, but I'll have the kitchen I want. So now it's like, yeah, spend $50K, get the kitchen of your dreams, honey. Like,
yeah, I heard a couple of different stats. One is that the price of new construction is actually cheaper, or can be more cheaper than existing. I don't know what your thoughts on that. And then the other one is the average first-time home buyer is 40 years old now.
Actually, I can agree. It's up. So I was odd. I bought my first house, I think, when I was 24. It'd have to be. So, and then like most of my clients that are buying houses are already established in their career. They're already making good money. Their households definitely 6-figure households. And it's a whole different world. On average now across the US, we moved the first time home buyer house back into like the late 30s. And it used to be like 27, 28. Now it's like 34 or 38. And there's so many little variables in that, but it's true. People rent longer, buy later. But I mean, my first mortgage payment was $716. And I'm not even that old, but that was my first mortgage.
Yeah. We're locked into a crazy rate. Like, I don't even know that we would be able to afford this house if it was. So times definitely change. And that's, I think, some of the beauty of getting into real estate investing is that you can, it's a long game, right?
Yeah. Someday we'll talk about house hacking. I mean, it's literally what I do.
Yep.
But so for a renter, you buy the house, you put friends in it with you, they pay you rent, you get a mortgage payment made. I mean, that's renting 101. That's what I did to get started and got me to where I'm at now. But it's going to kind of piggyback onto two things there. When you asked about new construction, so that is interesting because the price of new construction is almost $70 to $100 more per square. Actually, some places of our area, it's more than $100 per square foot more for new construction of a half-finished house. I'm gonna say half. That's kind of rude.
Yeah.
The main floor has the bulk of the expenses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can see that because when I was selling home remodeling, we would get wined and dined by, sell our siding. And then you learn this term called planned obsolescence. Have you heard this before?
Mm-mm.
So they purposely design for products to fail because you need repeat business and new construction can't do it. Chasing hailstorms and tornadoes, like that kind of does it. Floods. But, down south, they're building concrete and stucco. Up here, we're stick built. I mean, so they design a product to fail right around 10 to 15 year mark. That's their goal. And the cheaper the product is, the shorter that timeline. So the good products that are meant to last a lifetime, they have to charge you enough to make sure, like, hey, this is a 30-year, 40-year product. Like, once. We might get your sale once in that salesman's lifetime. So you're going to pay a premium, but you'll never pay again. Versus, hey, I put vinyl siding from the local box store on. Guess what's falling off? Or, I threw a snowball at it and broke it in the winter. Like, so why don't you buy new? You can delay that because they just started the 10-year timeline versus you buy a 1980s house, the masonite that's probably 40 years old, should be going. The windows are rotting. The shingles have curled. Like,
yeah. That, and then just real quick while we're talking about that, I wanted to brush on people say that you're throwing your money away for renting, but I don't think what they don't understand is owning a home comes with its own expenses. There is, you have to mow the lawn, which takes time, and it's a simple task, but now when you move in, you have to buy a lawnmower.
Yep.
You have to buy a gas can, weed eater.
Yep.
And then that's just
spray the weeds in your rock bed
if you want to maintain your home, right?
Yep.
And then you start, as these things start happening, you have to start buying all this stuff, right?
Yep.
Versus renting, that's all taken care of.
Yep.
So you have to also include that into your rent. So when you're thinking about rent, it's like, the yard is being maintained. If there's something wrong, I have a maintenance guy that can come over and fix it.
Yeah, that garbage disposal from earlier, you're paying out of pocket for that. Versus...
My company, we're $110 an hour for someone to come out and repair something on a home.
Yeah,
and we have the skill, we have the tools, we have all the capabilities to do that.
You mean I can't just YouTube video and hop under there and?
You can, but then you have to go to the store and you have to buy all the tools to do that.
Yep. And then
it might only happen once, right? And that might happen once. So now you got all these tools that you paid for that you have to store.
Yep. Guilty.
So there's just more. There's more to it than and it's just. I don't think that home ownership is for everyone, to be honest.
100%. And I think.
And I don't think you should be ashamed either for renting.
No.
I don't think you should be ashamed for renting.
Guess who can travel the easiest? Renters. Like there's so many, and the funny thing is there's never a right answer. Because in the long run.
It's a preference, but
yeah.
And I don't think anyone's right or wrong. But I do think it balances out. And that's where I'm kind of going with this.
Yeah.
Is,
buying's great. It does have financial, because you have a house, you have equity.
Long-term, yep.
So you can leverage that to, go on trips, do different things, buy down different things. Like it all kind of comes together in a wash, but really it's up to the individual what's right for them. Like I rented to get started because I didn't have a house. I didn't have a down payment. I did a commission only job. So even if I had started right out of the gate, it took me almost 4 years of commission income to even buy my first one. But I knew I wanted rentals, because I had seen that was a path to wealth, because I did not want to work for the man the rest of my life. But at the same time, I just stuck a lot of money. I replaced 2 furnaces, added an AC, replaced all the flooring, replaced wall paneling, replaced all the windows of that very first rental I bought last year. So guess who lost money last year on that? So, but what do I have? I have equity now. I improved the property, so it should sell for more, but I won't get 100%, but that's just the trade-off versus my tenant upstairs now has central air. He now has a brand new furnace, so his savings, he's actually saving money on what he pays for utilities. His windows work better. They're not single pane nasties. They're actually insulated, solar reflective.
More energy efficient.
Yep. So yet again, he's saving money. So same guy, same lease, same payment, way better amenities. So
And on the owner side, you can stretch it out and not do those repairs. But here's the bad side. Here's the flip side to that is now you have to dispatch a maintenance guy once a week to go limp your water heater on or limp your furnace along.
yep.
So now you have this added maintenance cost. So you really have to say, am I just going to limp these around and try to milk it for what I can? Or are you going to invest in your property and eliminate those?
And if you're ever on the fence, you have two of us who can walk through a property with you and help game plan. Like he'll know prices significantly better than me. And I'll know market conditions, selling factors. Like call us, contact us if you're like, I don't know if I should sell it or spend the money and fix it. And it's like, well, he's got a whole team of gentlemen who can help fix up the place, make it look nicer. And sometimes it's a happy medium. Do these few repairs, and then I'll be able to get X more for your house, and make this work.
And really, it's just about coming up with a strategy, right?
Yep.
So, and strategy is just doing things in the right order. It's having a plan. And
Beautifully put.
yeah, so at the end of the day, in the land of the free, it's expensive, huh?
Well, I mean, we can move 60 miles away where, you can buy a house for $15,000, but it still costs $1,000 a window to replace them.
Yep.
So, talking on the amenities thing, like there's so many parts that go into that. Part of it is looking at the market. Like, what are other people paying for a 2-bed, 1-bath? Like, what are other people paying for a 5-year-old Honda Civic? Like we do the same comparison, apples to apples, because we want to always make sure we're up. Sometimes something happens to a property, we have to raise rent. Like we have one that once it's stabilized, there's a chance to make a dog park or an actual park, which is an amenity all units get a benefit from. So that will naturally, they're going to spend money, but they're going to improve the place. So another amenity, I would expect rent to go up a little bit. But the nice thing is, it's a $25,000 park, but when 300 people pay into it, it's only $20 or $10,
So what I'm getting out is basically amenity equals upkeep.
Yes.
So whatever the amenities are, there's obviously a cost to upkeep that.
Yep.
Whether you're a homeowner or a tenant, whatever amenities you have. If I look at the amenities that I have in my backyard, it looks like Disneyland now. The upkeep is very time consuming.
Well, I know what I hear as soon as April, May rolls around. What are you doing this weekend? Oh, I got to take care of the yard.
Yep.
And then that excuse, just kidding, that chore
Yep.
goes till about July, which in North Dakota is when the grass starts to burn and be done being green. And it's like, oh, okay, the yard's good now. And then, oh, never mind, it's time to start harvesting the tomatoes. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And that's what it is. It's just amenity equals upkeep for sure.
And so, like, kind of naturally, why do we pay the rent we pay? Amenities, kind of market conditions, they all affect that. You can never pinpoint if it's better to rent or to buy. That's just a you decision. But regardless of what the amenities are, if you do not pay when your contract says to pay, you come to the second most common fee, late fees. Why? I mean, when you hear the word late fee, what comes to mind? Like, why?
Because now we have to fund that.
Yep.
We have to fund that cost. If I wasn't able to pay, if I didn't pay my mortgage on time, the bank is funding that payment. So there's a charge for that. And
Yep.
then on top of funding it, now you have staff time that is involved with reaching out, and tenants aren't the most They're not the most responsive sometimes, especially when we're asking for money.
Yep.
So now you have staff member emailing, texting, confirming, and now we have to set up a payment plan.
Potentially, yep. Sometimes it's just an oh crap. Other times it's
Yep.
something's happened.
Repeat offenders. Sometimes life happens, and
Yep.
we're more than willing to work. I mean, I know several instances where life has happened, and we understand that, and it's like, just don't avoid us.
Yep.
and just let us know what happened, and let us know what you can afford, because you still have to live your life.
Yep.
And
I I think one of the craziest stories we encountered is this nice gal. I mean, went through chemo and still worked, still tried to pay her bills. I mean, she would come in and drop off checks. She'd let us know. So we knew every 2 weeks she's coming in, and we saw her with no hair. We saw her with hair. I mean, she's good. She's healthy. She doesn't rent from us anymore, but it was just like literally fighting for her life. And she's made it, and paid rent. I mean, that's not necessarily on time, but in a situation where when she moved out, she owed us nothing. Like, but it was crazy. I mean, but that's the thing. Be honest, be open. We don't need like the honesty like too much, but just, hey, life's real right now. Can I do this and pay on this date? We record it all because we want to keep everyone on the same page, and then we work with you. I mean, now, if this is your 28th time that your grandpa has died and you can't pay rent, we had that as well. It's like, wow, how many grandpas do you have? This is the third one. I could scroll through my messages, and his grandpa had died 3 different times throughout the years. I was like, man, that's a lot of grandpa.
maybe as a grandpa cat.
Yeah.
9 lives.
There it was. That was it. So late fees are there because we charge it. One, it is a penalty, but it's because we incur costs. We now have to spend office time. There's other events, like the owners typically have a mortgage too. Guess what day of the month that's due on? The 1st, which is when rent's due. So it's that's one. And then during the life cycle of staying at a property, that's when we start hitting into the incidentals. So what?
I wanted to brush one more.
Oh, go for it.
I love where you're going. Why does it cost a little bit more for like a month-to-month lease versus I signed with you for
Yep.
a year? Like, what is the difference, and why would I be charged a little bit more for the month-to-month?
Yep. So when we have our process, and most companies' process is 100 days before your lease ends, they start the move-out process, which is simply, hey, are you going to stay or renew? Or that's the same thing. You're going to move or are you going to stay?
And that's got to get transferred to the marketing team now so that we can get that unit rented
Yep.
to the next one.
Yep. So that starts the process, because if you're like, I'm going to move out, we have 90 days to prep. We can start marketing and we can cut that vacancy time down to days. But when it's month to month, we have 60 days notice or 100 days notice when we do it a normal way. But when it's month to month, you could say, hey, I'm moving out 31 days or 35 days. Like, okay, oh, shoot. All right, let's go. Like, schedule this, get this going. This is the move out date. And the process is just so much shorter and it's much more reactive. And ultimately, what we're trying to combat is vacancy, time with no one paying rent for the owner. So we actually have you start prepaying that vacancy time, because our timeline is so much shorter. And the chances of it staying on market longer are just very real. So that is why there's a month-to-month charge, is we're actually trying to fill that vacant month or prepay for it to have the luxury of being able to leave under a 40-day window.
Yeah, and then the last one we have on monthly is just parking pass and garage rent.
Yep.
But there again, that just circles back to the amenity. It's upkeep of the parking garage. It's upkeep of the garage.
The garage door openers.
All that stuff.
Yep.
So now we kind of have it categorized out, and the tenants have access to this, and it's the variable fees. We have non-sufficient funds. I mean, that's
which literally state law says what we charge on that one. So if your check bounces, we actually get fined, and we just
transfer that off.
Yeah. So that's something that could happen on your ledger. Other things that will happen is like we can charge, but that's why it's a variable. We don't typically, is like if we kick back the utilities into our name because you're not paying your utilities, like that, you've violated the lease. We don't mark it up, but it's like it's potential there, especially when it's chronic. Like I had a gal who I would maybe only pay, she'd pay like once every 3 months. Then it kicked back in my name, and they wouldn't turn the utilities back on until she caught up. And so it was just this constant back and forth. And then, of course, now she's accruing late fees because she's not paying on time. And yeah, not fun, but there's some of those in there. And then on the dark side of it are the lease violation fees.
So you mean if I break the law and the police ask me to pay a fine?
Well, yes, they're called speeding tickets. And that's what lease violation fees are basically, are speeding tickets. For your health and safety, there are rules. This
And the
is
safety of other tenants, not just yours.
Yep. There's so many, but I mean, simple things like when you live in multifamily is just, the golden rule applies. But if you think blasting music at 1 a.m. is completely acceptable, then, you can't turn around and scream at someone whose kids are playing at 8 a.m. I mean, it's kind of you have to learn the ecosystem. But when someone is repeatedly,
Just got to be respectful of each other.
yeah. Yeah. So we do have a fee schedule, and it's actually in black and white. We'll give you a warning because sometimes it's just ignorance. But like, hey, don't smoke in the building. And continually they're smoking in the building. It's
State
like,
law.
yeah, but they don't care. It's like, okay, well, we don't call the police for something like that, but it's like, okay, we know it's you. It's on camera. Like, here's a fine. You're stinking up the hallways. Hey, you're stinking up the room. Plus, your move-out fees are going to go up because now we have to deodorize and I'm forgetting the tool.
The ozone machine.
The ozone, yeah. We have to put an ozone machine in there, so it's like a whole restoration event. So yeah, I mean, we have lease violation fees. A lot of times it's not picking up after your dog, and we'll ask you to do it. And then it's, okay, if you refuse to, we will pay someone to do it, and then we will add it to your rent. Same with like mowing. Everyone's definition of long grass is different, but that's when the city sends us a letter that says, hey, maintain your yard. It's like, yeah, you're not keeping up your end of the bargain.
Yeah.
And if we have to do it, then you're going to see that on your bill. And that's not, we don't mark that up per se. Like, we're not saying you have a $500 fine plus the $80 mowing. It's just like, no, you have a $85 mowing charge that we have paid. We've fronted you money that you now owe us. So, and sometimes there are things where like tenants want an improvement and they're willing to pay for it. I even get on that side of it. Like the good charges, just like, yeah, we can do that. Here's the cost. And I had one of my duplex. He's like, hey, it'd be really nice to have this type of dishwasher. I'm like, well, this is the dishwasher I put in. It's like, well, can we work out a deal where I get this one? And so he was willing to pay more. Same with internet speed. We had a gamer. Hey, can I get this router? It's like, okay, that is 3 times more expensive, but we worked out a deal and he got a fantastic router that probably the neighbors are using because it's that powerful. But it was, an improvement that made him happy. He's still with me today. And it's like, there are good fees, we'll call it, but it's improvements that tenants want.
Yeah, and to kind of wrap this up or whatever, at the end of the day, you can chat with your property manager on these fees. I mean, just like our owners, some of them are, negotiable. Sometimes we can help you out with some of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of things are standardized because we have to go to court to protect the property, other tenants, or the owners. So our leases are fine picked through, but just because something is the way it is doesn't mean it can't be changed.
More amenity facing.
Yes, amenity facing.
Yeah.
Like, no, you still have to pay rent. Sorry, like we can't change that.
You can't negotiate for breaking a lease violation. Unfortunately, it's a fine. That's what it is. Just like you going out in DUI, it's the same thing.
There is something though. If you do a lease break violation, we always give people options. Like when you sign a lease, let's say a 12-month lease, you are saying in law, in writing, hey, I will pay for this unit for 12 months. And then at 9 months, you're like, I'm out. You legally owe that 3 months. So we have a fee that says, hey, if you're breaking the lease, you can pay a flat fee. See ya. Done. Like, we're not coming after you unless you destroyed the unit. That's a whole different thing. Mm-hmm. And actually, we should probably lightly hit that. But it's like, okay, lease is over. Like, we'll take the penalty fee. Owner doesn't lose a bunch of months of rent. and it works out. Other times it's okay. If let's say you're getting transferred, you literally cannot stay. All right. A lot of times they know that this is happening. So we're going to try to get it rented as soon as possible. Our average days on market is, 17. So just know that you might have to pay a rent, but then we can prorate it when the next tenant moves in. And a lot of times they just get someone to take over their lease in those situations. But we do have a transfer fee for that because our office has additional hours spent that's outside the normal bookkeeping and maintenance side of things. So, but that's kind of one of those fees that exists out there in the tenant facing world, but it's there to pay for that extra office time because life happens. Sometimes you got to go.
Yep.
The move out fees, we hit this a little bit on the front end, but this is one I could go on for days, but long story short, we try to be transparent, and every property management company should be transparent on this because some stuff you just can't predict, but you can estimate. So like holes in wall, light bulb, not cleaning the stove, not moving the fridge to clean, damaging blinds, there's breaking a toilet seat lid, breaking the whole toilet. I mean, most of the common wear and tear damaged items we have when you move in and when you move out, we can circle, we just write them down so that when you actually move out, you can say, yeah, I did break that blind. Yeah, my friend tripped and punched a hole XYZ, like 125 here, whatever the number is. And it's going to be different by state and all that. But you should have a full accounting of what the charges are because where we live in our state, we have a very defined window of when we have to give you those numbers and when we have to return your deposit. I believe most states have it, but you shouldn't be surprised by what you're charged when you move out because we 100% will give someone a full deposit back. But I mean, think of some of the scenarios we've walked into.
Yeah. One of the things I want to add on that is when this stuff happens in your unit, there's been times where it's like probably could have been a work order.
Yep.
And now it's coming to the closeout time, and it's like now it's it gets rolled into that, unit turn charge, unfortunately. So if your friend does punch a hole, call your property manager and say what happened and take that cost up and pay for that right away.
Yep.
And turn it into a work order and get that stuff, keep that unit ready to go. Now, when you get to the end of the day, even if it was your fault, you're basically prepaying for it. And
Yep.
that's another way to get your full deposit back. Because at the end of the day, the unit just needs to be ready to rent, just how you moved into it, the same condition. It needs to be ready for the next tenant so they can call that place their home.
Yep. 100%. Well said. Because that's our goal. I mean, we're just trying. I always say when I was leasing, like, I'm just looking for happy people to rent happy places to. Like, we're not out to get, we're ripping them off. Yeah, let's go to the bank. It's like, no, we're in a commodity industry. Like, if I'm charging $1,000 for a hole in the wall, like, I'll get flagged and I can probably get sued because it's just crazy. But there's probably 10,000 people in this town who can patch a hole in the wall. So it's interesting kind of market on that front, but we just want to make sure that the places you can move into are nice, that you feel safe, and that you know that when you have something that happens, that you have someone you can call who will take care of it.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we want to keep our doors open.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it costs money to be in business, just like how society doesn't want you to win. The state and taxes and all the costs to run a business, they don't really want us to win either. So it's just at the end of the day, we're just keeping our doors open and trying to run a business so we continue to elevate the market.
100%. So that's the big ugly F word, fees in property management for our tenants.
Yeah. And if you need help, I am on the board. We do watch over other property management companies. So if you are listening to this and you do think there's some shady stuff going around, I'm not telling you to whatever, but reach out, get in a second opinion. We're down to help tenants. We're looking out for the tenants. We're looking out for legacy, and we're also looking out for our owners.
Yep.
It's a 3-ring deal, and we need to. At the end of the day, we're trying to add value to the market.
Yep. And yeah, we actually even have on our website, one of the blogs, where to go if you think you've been discriminated against, High Plains for Housing out of Grand Forks, because things happen. No one's perfect. Everyone has a bad day. That can go for property managers, owners, and for tenants. But just be open and honest, and things can be worked out. Because, like I said, we have fees because things happen. That's the long and short of it.
Yep.
But we just want to be transparent on why and what they're for, because we have many tenants who we never have a fee, never have anything, and they move out, they get 100% deposit. Awesome. Great shake of the hands. Good luck.
Yeah.
We've covered everything from why there are fees, what costs extra, what tenants could expect, and that the fact that just because we have these fees doesn't mean you're going to get charged these fees. Like, application fee, always, every time, no matter who you are. Even if you're my brother, sorry, application. And then you're going to have to pay rent. That is literally what renting is the act of paying rent, or letting if you're in other parts of the world.
Yeah, one business motto I heard was either full price or free. So I'm either going to come over there on the weekend and help you out and do it for free, or you're paying full price. There's just no family friend discount type deal.
Correct.
But my thought came back to me. The website is lpsnd.com, and we are working on it. We have a lovely marketer.
Yep.
She's great, and we're working on having that be a resource for not only our tenants but our owners. And the blogs, we're going to work on turning those into videos. So we are working on getting that a little more user friendly and getting it more as a resource and educational tool, so that you have the ammo in your pocket.
Yep.
And we do have another blog on there if you are going through tough times. Bill put an awesome one on there of resources, the local food pantries, assistant programs, and all that stuff.
Yep. Because life happens. I'm just gonna say it again. Life happens, but you don't have to lose your home. You don't have to lose your apartment. Like, there are people out there willing to help you. We could spend a whole days on what's out there because people just don't know.
Yep.
And we work with them all the time. So it's like some people are like embarrassed or afraid to be like, hey, I have a rent check coming from XYZ, like church or whatnot. It's like, awesome.
Yep.
Can't wait to get you back on your feet.
Yep.
So use those resources. They're there. Yeah.
Well, if you found this episode enlightful, helpful, share it to someone who know that could use it.
Yep.
That would be great. Like, subscribe, and listen for more. Leave us a review. That'll get us more traction on the podcast platform as well. And we will see you on the next one.
All right. Till next time.
Thanks for your time today.
Cheers.
Cheers.